grabs, the whole configuration of world power, the whole architecture of the world, then has to be redesigned. And who's going to do it? There's no other alternatives. The EU is just together and have the same currency, but they're not going to lead the world. Britain is, fact I often like to dwell upon. Do you know that the entire population of the United Kingdom is the margin of error in China's census? So just to put things in perspective, why is so a lead? India, I doubt it. China's not ready to lead. That's why they don't like the idea of a G2, U.S. and China, because they say, oh, no, we're a developing country. We don't want that responsibility. That's your problem. You send the 7th Fleet to Asia and police. You send the 6th Fleet to the Mediterranean and police the world. You deal with Sudan. You do all this stuff. Not for us. We don't do that sort of thing. We just want to develop ourselves. Pretty smart in a certain way. Cautious. But China's not ready to take over. And would we want China to lead the world? Would we want a communist party at the helm of the ship of state of the world? I'm not sure we would. So who's going to do it? And that's where we are today. And it's a rather difficult time, but an interesting time, and a time that you all are going to have to figure out as you lead your lives, and figure out how your state, how your country fits into this new global pattern. Now, I want to do some questions, but before, I thought I'd just show you, because one of the projects I've been working on is, and these are spectacular photographs, the development of China and the United States and the burning of coal is causing some grave disturbances in the atmosphere of the globe. And one of the effects that it is having is the glaciers of the Himalayas, that huge, magnificent arc of mountains that begins above Afghanistan, arcs over Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and then hooks back up into China. This is the third pole, it's called. The third largest ice mass in the world, short of the North and South poles, is there. And it turns out that this is an extremely important, these glaciers are extremely important because they feed every single river. From the Amu Darya in Afghanistan to the Yellow River in the North China Plain, everything in between, the Yangtze, the Mekong, the Salween, the Irrawaddy, the Brahmaputra, the Ganges, and the Indus. And that's like 2.5 billion people. And these are the kinds of things which the U.S. and China is going to have to find a way to deal with. How do you prevent the glaciers which feed these rivers in critical ways, seasonal ways, if they melt? What are all those people going to do? What kind of wars are we going to have? What kind of battles are we going to have when the Pakistanis or the Indians start damming up the Indus River, which goes through both countries? So I want to show you very quickly some pictures of these glaciers. And what we've done is we've gone into archives and we found old pictures. They're magnificent pictures of these glaciers. You'll see some around Mount Everest from like 75, 100 years ago. And then this guy who summited Everest 5 times, did the IMAX film on Everest, you may have seen it. He goes back and spends weeks, climbs up to exactly the same place in the mountains that the picture was shot 75, 100 years ago, at exactly the same time of year with the same rough cloud cover, and he reshoots it. And I want to show you this, because I think if there's anything I could leave you with, it's images of the consequences of the kind of development that both of our countries have been engaged with, which have not been into the costs on the resource base of the world, and then, paradoxically, cooperate. In fact, ever met in my life. You look at the things. So this is should be around Everest, so we can get this thing fired up here. Let's see. There it goes. Okay, so this is the Himalaya Mountains, which are in China. They're in Tibet. This is David Brashears, who does these. This is 1921, the Rongbuk Glacier that goes by Everest. Now watch, I'm sorry it's jumping, but this is 1921. Watch the red line, and this is now. This is a 400-foot drop. These glaciers are like 10 miles long. And he's noticed as he's climbed these mountains, he's been up every mountain in the world, he's noticed that the glaciers, every time he goes back, are different and changed. Well, this is just, you'll have to listen to me for a minute or two here. When you talk about dynamic growth in China, when you talk about consumption in America, and you talk about the stuff that we're consuming, the energy we're using, these are the consequences. And these are the kinds of things which compel countries to find a way to get together. These are magnificent mountains, and you would think that nothing would ever be able to change these massive ice systems. Well, I think we'll stop right here. Let's see here. Good. Well, listen, I just wanted to show you that one and to give you a kind of a sense that beyond what's going on in China, if you go to China and you see this extraordinary development, incredibly impressive, and you then think back of the necessity of the U.S. and China working